safety glasses. Alright, I have started on it. Here's the port work. So I went ahead and did one side of the transfers, and you see that right there. I don't know how much you can tell. I really opened it up at the bottom. I'm not going to do anything up at the top. So that right there is pretty much what you're going to see. Now I'm going to take it and smooth it out. It's really rough. And you want it to be rough, but you know, not like that. It's bumpy. That's no good. But I knife edged that right there, and I widened up those transfer ports. So there's what you got to go by. I didn't open them this way very much. I just minimalized the center section. So anyways, we'll see how it works. Next, well, of course, I'm going to do the other side, but for you guys on the video, what I've decided to do is I'm going to leave the exhaust alone. I might nah, I ain't even going to do that. I'm going to leave the exhaust completely alone because the numbers were just right. It's coming out at, oh yeah, I guess I haven't told you. So I did the numbers of the highway cylinder, of course, the highway piston with the base gasket in place. And what I got was the duration for the intake was 139, and the duration for the exhaust was 154. Now the exhaust is almost perfect. Oh gosh, shoot, the wind's blowing. God, it's getting this aluminum chips all over the place. Dang it. And I saved these aluminum chips. See? Got a whole bunch of them. They're for future projects. Anyways, on with it. Sorry. I will take a little bit off of the roof of the exhaust because it's not coming on until 100 degrees. I want it to open up a little bit sooner at about 98, 99 degrees. But just a tiny bit off the top. Now, the floor of the intake is where I need to take a decent amount off because I need it to, I need much longer duration. So, what I'm learning here is this is really a lot of guesswork. I did time it up and everything, and you know, I guess there is a little bit of science to it, but as far as how much to take off in order to get your duration where you want, it's hard to figure. You could go through and figure out how many millimeters or how many thousandths of an inch equals 1 degree, but shoot, I ain't that into it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a mark. Just like that, and I'm going to cut off that mark. Once I get that cut the way that I want, then I'll put it back on the chainsaw, and I will measure out the time again, see how close I got. All right, so that's it for now. Well, for better or worse, it's done. All right, let's check it out. Do it like this. We got good light over here. All right, so knife edged in the middle. Opened them up a little bit, but I mean, yeah, I opened them up a lot, but there's nothing done up top here. So all that volume that we've got here, the extra volume, is going to taper down, and it'll turn into nice velocity whenever it goes across the cylinder. I think. We'll see. The intake, here it is. So I took it off the floor. I don't know how much I took off. Maybe a millimeter and a half, maybe 2 millimeters. I don't know. But it's nice and smoothed out. Still, it's not smooth like a baby's butt smooth. You want it to have little tiny ridges so that the fuel will tumble and the fuel and air will mix. Exhaust, I raised the roof on it just a little bit, probably about 1 millimeter, and I smoothed it out as good as I could. Again, it's not really polished because I just don't have the tools for that. But for good or bad, this is it. This is what I came up with. And I'm going to put it back on the saw right now, and we will see what the timing numbers are. Okay, so I'm done. Put it back together, and the rings were catching, the piston was catching. Man, you really gotta smooth out the openings, the intake and the exhaust, where that piston rubs up and down on them, on those openings. It just kept getting hung up. I had to take it on and off, on and off, on and off. Sanding it by hand with 1,000 grit, 400, then 1,000. I was doing 1,500, but I don't think I need to go that high. But anyways, I finally got it as acceptable as I seem to be able to get it. Wow. So, because of that, I had to go back and hit it with around the edges with this one right here. Whoop. And it's cone shaped a little bit. That way I was able to get in there and chamfer the edges, but still it's not smooth. Anyways, it's hard to do. I've spent a long time on this, but the first time I put it back together, and I got the intake, the original for this, the original intake duration was 139, and I had changed it to 144. Now we was looking for 150 to 155. We were looking for 155, honestly, right? But Bayou Country, he's like 150. But then he's like, but I usually end up around 164 on the duration, and it runs great. So anyways, I don't want to screw it up, so I want to stick with kind of conservative. Walker, he says 155 for both intake and exhaust duration. So anyways, the duration for the exhaust original was 154, and so I wasn't going to touch that. But then I watched the video for Bayou Country, where he says you want it to come in at about 98 degrees, and it was coming in at 100. So I was like, I'll take just a little bit off the top there. What I ended up with is right on the dot with 98 degrees. That's whenever the intake, or I'm sorry, that's when the exhaust starts to open, and it gave me a duration of 160 on the exhaust. So that's a little bit more on the exhaust than I wanted, but we'll see how she runs. So now all that's left to do is put it back together. Oh, wait, there's one more thing. No, I told it all. All right. So we're at 150 total duration for the intake, 160 total duration for the exhaust, and the exhaust begins to open at 98 degrees. So it should have really good throttle response, not lose too much torque, and it should rev really, really, really nice, I think. It's my first time truly doing this. So now it's just time to see how it runs, and like a jerk, I'm going to save that for the next video. Anyways, later, and check out the next video.